Hey, welcome back, folks. We are still working on the 1936 Chevy pickup, and today we are going to get the engine and transmission installed for the final time, and we're finally going to build a floor for the truck. You can see there's not much of a floor right now, so we'll get some fabrication, and I'd also like to get started on installing the glass and all of that, but we'll see where we get to. Anyways, I'll shut up and get to work. I started on this windshield frame project probably 7 years ago, and I was secretly hoping by now that I would be like a wealthy industrialist and I'd be able to just go out and buy a new one, but I'm still a broke idiot, so that means we finally have to deal with the windshield frame situation, and the problem with this is that it's 90 years old and it's seized together and it doesn't want to come apart. It's not rusted through yet, but it's close, but it's all we got. It's very delicate, and we're just gonna have to make it work. So I'm just gonna kind of marinate this for a long time, and then while we're working on other things, and hopefully it'll fix itself. But I have a feeling this is gonna turn into, we could make a whole episode just on this windshield frame trying to get it unseized, but I don't think anybody would watch that. Is anybody even watching this? I doubt it. By now, everyone's abandoned this channel for the puppies going down slides channel. Well, I am shocked and slightly appalled that that came apart. That was some petrified and delicate stuff. I'm not even going to try to get the screws out of the other half of this. You can see just how delicate this whole operation is. So anyways, now that I got it apart, I can start making my templates for the windshield glass, so I can get that cut and we can get that installed and hammer it back in the truck. Oh, we finally get to free this engine from its shackles. Never thought I'd see the day. Well, we got the engine and transmission in for what's hopefully the final time. Shouldn't be any reason to have to pull it again. And also got the drive shaft installed, so that's all done. So I think the next task here is to start constructing a floor so that we can get the shifter done and the emergency brake mounted and all that other junk. Well, there's a super simple battery tray. I was originally going to mount the battery underneath the seat, but it would have been very difficult to get to. So I just mounted it underneath the floor, basically in the factory location. It's bolted to the transmission cross member as well as the frame, so it's probably not going to go anywhere. Also reusing the battery from the donor car because it's literally only 2 years old and it worked perfectly fine. So a little pro tip there, if you're building something, get yourself a parts car or a donor car, especially if it's running and driving. It'll save you hundreds if not thousands of dollars on all the little nickel and dime items that you'd have to buy separately otherwise. So there you go. got done applying some sound deadener inside the doors, and you may notice that the logo on one of the sheets is facing the wrong way. And the reason for that is that my old boss James used to get really mad if I didn't make the logo face all the same way on the sound deadener. And I know that sometimes he watches these videos, so always time for some light trolling around here. Okay, what we have here is another side restoration project. This is basically what you run into with these 1930s vehicles. So this is the passenger side door latch, and it did work, but as soon as I put the exterior door handle on, the weight of the handle was causing it to stick because it didn't have enough spring pressure to return. So I pulled it out, pulled it apart, and discovered that the spring is broken. So that is what was causing our issue. Plus, the housing itself was broken, so that's what you saw me welding there. And then I ran around and found a spring that I hope will replace this one. We're going to find out here right away. If it doesn't work, then I guess we're going to have to run around some more and try to find another spring. But I just got this kind of cleaned up, so we'll toss it back together and hope that it works. Well, got it hammered back together here, and it does appear to be working. We'll find out once we get it bolted back in the truck, and then it seizes up again or something, but seems pretty good right now. Part number for the spring is 851630. It's made by Hillman, and the spring size is 2 1/8 by 1/2 inch. And I did have to trim off a couple coils of it because it was too long, but as of right now it seems to be working, and I'm mainly just recording this so that I remember if I ever have to do the driver's side. The smart thing to do right now would be to do both sides at once, but I figure don't fix what ain't broke, so we're just going to run the driver's side as is for now. It's still springing as it should, so yeah, I'm going to toss this back in the truck and see what happens. Managed to get the door latch doing door latch things again. So that's cool. There is still a little bit of sag in the handle, and that's not because of the spring. The little square that the handle fits into is a little bit hogged out. So the only way to take up that slop is to weld this up and then carefully file it out, and I do not care enough to do that, so it doesn't affect the function of the latch itself. So we're just going to leave it. I know this is going to bother some people, and that's good because it doesn't bother me at all. Another thing, you'll notice we got a key in here, and so now we can actually have a locking door handle. This is locked, and then you turn the key and unlocked. So that was only a 3-hour job to fix that. This handle came out of 37 Maple Leaf, and it was getting crushed years ago, and it still had the original key in the ignition, so I saved the handle and the key, and of course it was all seized up, so we had to blow it all apart and de-rust it. And if anybody cares that's working on one of these, the way you take these handles apart, there's just a little pin right here, and you just knock that pin out, and then the whole assembly exits out this way, and then you can clean it up and repair it and do whatever you got to do. Okay, we got some work done on the floor here, and you can see that I did have to notch it out a little bit for the transmission clearance. But before I build a cover for that, I need to figure out our shifter situation. So I bought this shifter mechanism thingy from Speedway. It's just a gated shifter, and it allows me to run any shifter for a manual transmission. I did look at the other aftermarket shifters, and they are insanely expensive. So this seems like it's a quality piece from what I can tell, and it was reasonably priced, I guess. All this stuff is expensive, but this is one of the less expensive options. There were cheaper options, but they looked kind of crappy. And I like this one because it has a provision for a neutral safety switch, as well as a reverse light switch, which we won't be using. But the neutral safety switch probably isn't a bad idea. I didn't want to spend $1,000 for a name brand one, and I also didn't want to use like some cheesy late model shifter out of a Cavalier or something like that, because that just looks like crap. So we're gonna try to use this, and for a shifter I have this assembly here from 35 Chevy car. So we're just gonna kind of cut it down and modify it to bolt up to here. And another side quest here. We have the original ignition switch, which is of no real use to us. And then I just bought a generic universal ignition switch. And the thingamajig that holds it in place is too small for the hole in the dash. So what I'm going to try to do is, this is the original thingamajig, and we're going to attempt to press this inside here and make two into one, and then hopefully that'll hold it into the dash. Well, I'm shocked that that actually worked. I did have to file down the outer perimeter of it a little bit to get it down enough where it would press inside, but it's in there and it works. So that's one problem solved. And I'm glad I haven't fully welded anything yet, because just kind of trying to figure out on the floor where I want to put this, and I can see that it's way too tall, and when it's in park, you know, it's going to be absolutely miserable to try and get the key in and out of the ignition. So and really there's no reason for the shifter to be that tall anyways, so we're going to chop at least a couple inches out of it and make it a little bit more aerodynamic. The shifter in, and you'll notice it's kind of mounted up a little bit higher. I built a little pedestal for it, and the reason for that is that when it was mounted directly to the floor, I was just going to jam the cable like right into the transmission housing. And so anyways, to give it a little better chance of working, I lifted it up a little bit, and I do still have to trim out some more around here for the cable, but appears to be working, and it clears everything now, and there's lots of room for the keys. At the top here, I ended up just cutting off the little whoopsie-doo at the top. It didn't need that extra curve in it. So anyways, the next problem is we need to kind of cover up all of this mess here. So the kit comes with this plastic doohickey that you're supposed to put over top of here, like that. But I don't really enjoy the way that looks. I don't really want plastic inside of you know, 90-year-old truck. So I'm gonna try to do something a little different here. I have this transmission cover thingy from a 1935 Chevy Master, and it has a bump in it, and I'm thinking I might be able to kind of repurpose this to cover our shifter in the truck there. And I don't know, this might not work, but we'll give it a try. This thing's actually in remarkably good condition, considering the rest of the floor in the car this came out of was completely rotted out. This is not rusty at all. So the problem is that the odds of me ever needing another 35 Chevy Master transmission cover with a stock transmission are slim to not at all. So that means it must be sacrificed, because if I can't use it, then no one else can. So that is working out okay-ish, it looks like. So now we need to fill in the empty space here. So I'm kind of thinking what I'm gonna do is just make the entire section here a removable cover. But I guess we'll see where we go. So there it is. I didn't get too carried away with it because I think eventually this truck's gonna have carpet in it, so you won't be able to see it anyways. But it covers the thing up. It does eat up a little bit of floor space, but nothing that's gonna get in the way of me driving the truck. There's no chance that 3 adults are ever gonna be able to fit inside this thing. So it'll fit 2 people comfortably, and it covers up all the ugliness, and it looks better than this thing. And to be fair, I think this kit is mainly meant for newer vehicles that already have a raised transmission cover, and then you're supposed to like cut this to fit the transmission cover, and by the time you get carpet and whatever over it, you probably wouldn't notice it as much as you would in something like this with a flat floor. But anyways, it is what it is. We made it work. So now that we wasted a bunch of time trying to make that look old, we're going to move on to the emergency brake lever. And you would say, well, you're probably going to restore some old emergency brake lever for that so it doesn't look out of place. And that's where you'd be wrong. We're just going to use this existing aftermarket, I think it's a low car emergency brake handle. This came out of my Model A that I built years ago. And just in the interest of saving time, we're gonna hammer this in somewhere. I do have or would like to eventually install a more error correct looking emergency brake handle, but the problem with that is it just turns into another giant restoration project. And in fact, actually, I have access to a few, but even just extracting them turns into another whole quest. And we simply don't have time for that right now. So for now, we're just going to run this thing, and we can change it out in the future if it bothers us. Alright, I'm out here harvesting the brake light switch and the dimmer switch from the Omega Seville. Might as well use it. Well, the dimmer switch will work just fine. The brake light switch is probably not going to work. Well, I mean, we could make it work, but the problem is it's going to be a whole pile of fabrication to get this in a position where it will work with the pedal. So instead, we're going to go with the little arm style switch, kind of like the 47 to 54 Chevy trucks have. It'll be a lot simpler for this underfloor setup. Could make it work, but it's just going to be more time than it's worth, I think. So we'll save this switch for one of our other GM vehicles. So this is the bracket that bolts to the transmission and holds the shifter cable in place. This is where the cable goes through, and one of the things I don't like about this is that the cable fits very loose in here, and there's 2 jam nuts that are supposed to lock the cable in, but what I foresee happening eventually is the cable popping out of here at some point. And so to fix that, I'm just going to box this in so it's completely closed, and that'll prevent the cable from popping out. Will that ever happen? I don't know. Maybe not, but I'd rather fix it now instead of on the side of the road somewhere. So the solution was just to weld some piece of crap in here to bridge across the open space. So now we just got a regular hole, and so the cable can't slip out of there. And there it is, all reattached and secured in place. We'll give it one final adjustment when we put the floor together for the last time. But it all seems to be working, and yeah, we just got this closed off now, because again, I was worried about that cable slipping out of there at some point, and now it won't. So something else can break instead. Well, you folks are lucky that I'm in a hurry, because we could easily turn this floor project into a 15-part mini-series. But anyways, I think it's about as far as I'm going to take it. We got the emergency brake in, and like so. It's not even as intrusive as I remember it being. This does end up becoming a permanent solution. Then I'll have to get a little creative with the shifter or boot or cover or whatever you want to call it. But we'll deal with that later. Right now, I just want to get it working. I've got everything bolted down and secured and whatever. On the back side, I welded on an emotional support membrane. Just made it out of some plate and then plug welded it in place to keep the floor from flexing when the e-brake or the shifter is used. Don't really want that to happen, so that's kind of all we did there. Pretty straightforward. And in case you're wondering, little to zero planning went into all of this. We just kind of built it on the fly, and I guess it'll work. I do still have to finish trimming out around here. Actually, the next step is to blow this all back apart, and then we will slap some paint on it and then slap it back in the truck. Well, while we're waiting for the paint to dry on the floor assembly, I figured probably put the grill and radiator on for the last time, because I want to bend up the transmission cooler lines, and it'll be a lot easier to access all that when the floor is out. So we'll just get that done now, I guess. Don't worry, keyboard experts. I made sure to use the special paint on the radiator, because we always do the job right here. The special radiator paint is also available now in the merch store. Again, this is a very special blend, and so if you'd like to find it, the part number is 1. Okay, I got the transmission cooler lines all bent up and installed. I'm not going to show you the rest of them because somebody got a little impatient and we got kind of a spaghetti factory going on. But as long as they don't leak, I guess it'll be okay. The floor is patiently waiting to go back in, but I'm going to hold off on that because I think it'll be a little easier. I want to run the fuel line next, and it's just easier if it's open there. So we're going to hold off on that, and I can't run the fuel line yet because I'm waiting on fittings for that to arrive, which were supposed to be here today, but they didn't come. And I'm also waiting on radiator hoses, so I can't hook up the rest of this until that arrives. But other than that, the rest of the cooling system is done. Anyways, I think this episode is getting a little bit long-winded, so we're gonna shut her down here. Next time we'll be back working on the fuel system and finishing up everything else there, getting the floor back in and shifter and e-brake hooked up, gas pedal, and maybe we'll start doing some wiring because in a couple weeks, oh yeah, we have to build the exhaust as well, so yeah, that definitely has to happen. But in a couple weeks, I'd like to be able to get this thing running so I can kind of take it around the block once or twice just to make sure there's going to be catastrophic problems, but I want to make sure we can fix those before I put the fenders and the hood and everything else back on. So that's kind of the plan there. That's what we're working towards anyways. Sorry for all the jumping around in this episode, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Just got a little bit here and a little bit there done. Like I said, I'm going to be focusing on just getting this thing running right now, and then we'll worry about glass and stuff later. I did want to work on the doors in this episode, but the problem is well, we ran into more problems, and right now there's supposed to be a little grommet, or I don't know what you call it, ferrule or something, little stainless piece that goes in here, and I bought a new one and I thought I could install it. They say you need a tool, and it turns out you actually need the tool to install it. I thought I could just somehow do it without the tool, but I'm just going to wreck it. So now I'm waiting for the tool to arrive, so I can't assemble the doors until I get that tool. Plus there's still a whole pile of garbage to repair on the doors as far as everything, literally everything's broken. So that'll be, save that for another day. We're gonna try to get the old 36 Chevy running and driving for the first time in probably over 50 years. I don't know when this was parked, but it was a long time ago. It's been off the road for longer than it was a running vehicle. So we're gonna give it our best try to get it running and driving in the next episode. And then after that, all that's left is everything. So thank you again for watching. Thanks to all the patrons of the show and everybody who's been sending in a donation or buying a t-shirt. Much appreciated. I'm hoping to release or re-release some of our older t-shirt designs here coming soon. And I guess we'll also have a 36 Chevy t-shirt coming up as well once we get this thing going. So all right, I'll shut up. I got lots of work to do still, so see you on the next one.